Oke.
Bisa dimulai?
Rifki nggak pakai ini buat ngomong. Rifki nggak pakai buat bicara. Pak Rifki nggak pakai ini.
Ya,
Nggak usah. For introduction,
cuma dekat. Hah? Kalau mau dimasukkan,
pakailah. Pakailah. Ya dong, nanti lu kayak putus nggak sih? Flow-nya itu.
oh,
Start from there. Yes, good.
sudah.
Okay. Yang itunya aja ditampilkan. Sorry.
One to today's Brownbag seminar, and this is the Brownbag which number? Number 48. You know,
My lucky number. My lucky number.
number that is number 48. So because we make this kind of seminar, Brownback seminar, very regular, we have for almost twice every month. You know, one or twice in every month. Well, thank you for coming. Apologize for a little bit delay in for the time for 15 minutes. But I hope that we can extend the time at the end of the program. Well, it is honor for us today. We have our special respected guest. You know, we have our colleague, basically, Dr. Adriana Elisabeth. Well, Ibu Adriana is someone who are very famous in terms of when we are discussing about Papua. She has been working on the issues of Papua for more than 20 years. So 20 years is very long time, you know. And well, she has been doing research for Papua, many research while she was working for the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, LIPI, Lembaga Ilmu Pengetahuan Indonesia, especially when she was with the Center for Political Studies at LIPI. She was the director for Center for Political Studies at LIPI. And where I was working there. So meaning that she was my boss. So and then she has been conducting research and visited Papua many times. And I think for the Indonesian scholars who have been visited as Papua most, I think her, and I'm sure her. And I because she has been visiting Papua for more than 100 times. You know. And you know, Papua is far away in terms of position from Jakarta. So, Dr. Adriana, she studied, her PhD is from Wollongong University in Australia, and her master's also from Australia, from Tasmania University, University of Tasmania in Hobart. And Dr. Adriana, see, I think this is important. For first to include this publication, this is Papua Roadmap. It's the first book that addressing about Papuan issues, and the book of Papua Roadmap was the product from few years of research with Bu Adriana and team at LIPI very long time ago. When was the first published? What year?
2009.
2009, you know. And this is one of the books that published several times. The first was published in Indonesia between Yayasan Obor and KITLP. KITLP is the Research Institute in Netherlands, published at Yayasan Obor in Indonesian language. And then afterward, it is being published by uh, ICS Singapore for the English version. And the other one also independently published in English or in Indonesian. So basically, this book has been republished for several times by different kind of publishers. Because this book is not only about academic. It is based on academic research, but also about related to policies, how government should respond to the issues of Papua. And because of that, and also she wrote also several many other publications. She do research. She also teaching at the Universitas at the Faculty of Social Science Department of International Relations, but also did some different kind of consultancy. And because of her experience, we invite her to come today to give a talk about how to deal with the Papua from academic research to policy advocacy. You know, she will address the rendering aspect from conducting research also to the advocacy, and of course, Papua is one of the challenging issues. And just a reminder for students who haven't familiar with the area of Papua, I think Ibu Adriana will also explain about the Papua itself. You know, but I think as a student, if you are a student in politics or international relations, you should be very familiar about location of any issues that we are discussing. So I would like to welcome Ibu Adriana. Please, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So,
thank you, Pak Rifki. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the comprehensive introduction, I think. Thanks, Dr. Rifki Muna. Good afternoon, selamat siang, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. Thanks also for inviting me to the one of the series of discussions this afternoon. So I will explain a bit about the roadmap later on, but I just want to give a brief introduction about Papua. So for you who doesn't really familiar with Papua, so this is actually the map. So if you see here, can you make it bigger? Is it clear from you who sit in the back? Is it clear? No, it's not clear. Bisa di. Okay, yes, good idea. You just go move here. Okay, so no, don't. Okay, this is the map of Indonesia. So Papua is located in the eastern part. Is there any point or something? Okay, okay, that's fine. This one? Yang ini ya, sini ya, ini. Okay. No, it doesn't work. That's okay. That's fine. So Papua. No. Thanks, Pak Rifki. So Papua is located in the eastern part of Indonesia. So that's the big picture there. So, well, for you who haven't had the experience or the opportunity to visit Papua, if you go a direct flight from Jakarta, it takes about 1.5 hours. That's it for, yeah, direct flight. And there are 2 hours differences from Jakarta. So now in Papua it's already 4:30 in the afternoon there. So if you have a fasting time, you just go to Papua, so you will open the break your fast earlier. Okay, and in terms of population, the native Papuans or the indigenous Papuans is around 2.9 million. of them. Compared to the Papua New Guinea in the eastern of the Papua Island, now it's around 17 or 16 million indigenous Papuans in the other island. But in Papua, it's only 2.9 or less than 3 million. The rest is all the migrants. So the number totally is around 5.5 something. So is it a bit dangerous actually for the native Papuans, because now it's in some cities the migrants becoming higher now. Like if you Googling, like for example in cities of Jayapura, Sorong, Merauke, most of the migrants are higher than the native Papuans. Okay, so this map is actually made because Papua now has 6 provinces. Yeah, the first is Southwest Papua province. The second is West Papua. So the term West Papua in the textbook that you find actually not right. We used to say it Papua because West Papua is one of the provinces there in Papua. So the second is West Papua province. The third is Central Papua. This is one of the hotspots of conflict, armed conflict in Papua. The fourth is Papua Tabi Sereri. This is actually the old province of Papua. I used to say it Papua Tabi or Papua Sereri because they're actually the same. And the fifth is Central Mountain Papua. This is actually the red area where the armed conflict used to happen there in the fifth province. The last is South Papua. South Papua. So, wait, I just move here. So this is the border areas. So in the eastern part of the islands is Papua New Guinea, and this one is Papua Indonesia. Okay. So this is just to give you like a big picture of where's actually Papua. And in terms of ethnicity, Papua has around 253 ethnic tribes and also clans. And there are around 1,000 surnames or apa ya istilahnya, surname from the tribes or the sub-clans something and clans. So they are around that. So it's in terms of populations, Papua is very small, but the race of ethnicity or the sub-ethnic in Papua is so heterogeneous. So it's wrong if you think that Papua is homogeneous. They are so heterogeneous society there in Papua. Okay, now is there any questions about this? So I think it's easily for you just to Googling if you want to know deeply about what's actually Papua location and something. Okay, I can now move to my slide presentations, please. Okay, I will sometimes use this. Okay, thank you. So I give to Pak Rifki this title or this topic, how to deal with Papua from academic research to policy advocacy. So you will hear mostly about kind of flashback, my experience, how I involved in this research, and what I have been doing to, let's say, give like a suggestions to the decision makers only for this issue, Papua. Basically, how actually we think that there's some options that the government can take to really solve the problems there, especially regarding the armed conflict or the violence conflict in Papua. So this afternoon, I will give you some points or some agendas. At least there are 5. The first is about the characteristic of the Papua conflict, because maybe some of you hear that someone said that, why don't we just solve it like what the government of Indonesia did in Aceh, for example? That's not the same. The characteristic of Papua and Aceh is so different. So this is why we have to understand the characteristic of the Papua conflict. The second is about the roadmap. So the the book cover that already in the slides or in the screen previously. So I will talk more about the roadmap, about the research process, about the publications, and also the significance. The third is about Papua updates, because we understand that when we finish the book, when we finish the research and we make publications of the roadmap, we think that there's still some holes. This is what I personally believe, that there's no research that's so perfect. So that's why we need to update based on the dynamics, of course. The next one is about building networks. So how actually you linked your research or your academic works to the policy makers. So this is what I want to share to you. The last is about lessons learned that we can take, or at least based on my experience, probably you will get something that you are, hopefully you are interested to do research on Papua also. Okay. Now I will go to the first point about the characteristics of the conflict. So the government of Indonesia said that conflict in Papua is a low intensity conflict. Why? Because there's the armed conflicts only in several regions or districts, not in the whole islands. So this is the statement, so clear that this is low intensity conflict. But I was asking myself, how low is low? Because the duration is so long, it's already maybe more than 60 years. Is it still low intensity conflict there or something? So this is actually something that we can discuss later on. The next, in one meeting a few years ago, also I heard from the government that conflict in Papua is actually one of the interested conflicts in the world. So do Indonesians have to be proud of that, or we have to feel so guilty there's a conflict in this region, in this nation, in this country? So why is it called as an interested conflict? There's some elements there. There's something related to ideology. There's contestations of ideology. So if later on you will find, for example, about ethno-nationalism versus nationalism of Indonesia in this case. There's also something related to political autonomy. Now Papua is one area that has the special autonomy law, has been there since 2001, and it happens until now. Even they have not the new law, which will be until 2041. The next is the element of economic control related to richness of natural resources. In each part of islands in Papua, there's lots of natural resources there. You name it. What kind of natural resources? Papua has that. Mining, forestry, plantation, fisheries, whoever, what you just find it, they're all in Papua. Okay, so this is actually some elements of the interested conflict in Papua. The last, this is actually my my statement. Papua is one of the longest violent conflict in Southeast Asia, after Moro conflict, for example. There will be a long story talking about history of political grievances. If we talk Papua is a separatist, we have to know about the history of political grievances. Started in 1962 until 1969. And then there's come the secession. Then become rebellion. And now we heard that Papua is separatist. So this is why I said we have to know the characteristic of each conflict is different. So we cannot compare like Papua with Aceh or Papua with Timor-Leste, for example. This is so different. Okay? Am I too fast? No? Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Alice. The next point is about the roadmap. So if you have the time to Googling, you can easily actually find the long version or the short version. Of course, for the long version, you can buy from the marketplace online shop. But if you try to open the web of Sydney University, you will also find the long versions of the roadmap. Okay, this again coming from a research process. So this was multi-year project of LIPI. I was working there for almost 30 years. It happened in 2004 until 2008. But I personally went to Papua for the first time was in 1992, a long time ago. And now the situation is very different. And by that time, the researchers have to find actually what the root causes of conflict. Along with the implementation of special autonomy law since 2001 until no, because they have the new law, it will go until 2041, and the impact to national competitiveness. So this actually like the order from the government, because LIPI was under the president. So this is actually coming from President Yudhoyono to do this research, to find out what's actually the root causes of conflict in Papua. So by having this multi-year project, we also make some publications each year. The first year in 2004, we produced books on actors mapping. If you think about how to resolve a conflict, you really have to know who are the actors. You have to make a clear mapping of the actors. So simply, I found out about 5 categories of actors. The first is, I call it dark blue actor, is actually pro-Indonesia, strong pro-Indonesia. For the blue is, they don't want to give support to Papua, but to Indonesia. For the Papuans, is dark red, is the pro-Papua independence. And the red is also like a person who really support the movement in Papua. So in the middle, there's the gray area. So it's that swinging. Sometimes they go for Indonesia, sometimes they go for Papua. So this is actually the most dangerous one in the middle. So this is the first. And we also, based on the map, we also see how actually the rules and also the interest of each actor. The second publication, it was in 2005. We start to see more about peace agenda, potential peace agenda based on universal mechanism, which also countries like in South Africa, in Argentina, also in Mindanao, for example. But also we try to explore more about traditional mechanism. This is actually in Papua context, traditional mechanism. That's actually like a biased perspective to see about Papua, because we only like most of the media only cover something related to how actually the Papuans like to have conflict. They're fighting each other. But at the same time, Papua has the traditional mechanism to solve the conflict with many different names. Like for example, the people in the coastal area, they call para ada. It's basically a dialogue forum. How actually we sit together, we talk, and we think how actually we are going to stop the conflict. For people in the highlands, the name is Muna Muna. So this is Pak Rifki Muna. Yeah, the name is Muna Muna Dialogue. But you will find different names in different places. But this is just to give you like a big picture on that. So we also try to explore the traditional mechanism. So to make it like what? Actually, the thing that positively followed by the people in Papua, like dialogue in Papuan ways, is kind of, or it is part of the local democracy of Papua. So Papua knows about democracy. Yeah. And the next one is in 2006, we produced books on trust building process. Basically, we know that this is the lack of trust is so deeply. So this is why we have to think more on how actually we have to build the trust now, rebuild the trust. Focus on human rights code, how actually the human rights violations need to go to human rights code, and then dialogue as a mechanism, and also reconciliation. Okay. And unfortunately, we had to stop in 2007 because I, myself, and one of my colleagues had to finish our dissertation. So we have to stop that time. Then, but we continued in 2008 by having the roadmap. This is actually we write as academic works, but lately in 2009 we launched the book called Papua Roadmap: Negotiating the Past, Improving the Present, Securing the Future. You will see this kind of sequence, right? About the past, about the present, about the future. But actually, we can start from the how we can improve the present situation. This is actually what the government doing by giving them special autonomy law, and now there's also a special budget for building infrastructures, connectivities, and also digitalizations Papua. So the government trying very much how to improve the present, the situations in Papua for having a better life for them there. But negotiating the past, this is so hard, especially talking about the history of political integration, how actually the Papuans also asking for self-determination. So this is the hardest part to talk, to deal about the the unresolved problems in the past. By having this, so actually, this is hard also to how actually to secure the future of Papua. But at least you know what's actually the problem and what option do we have to do. Okay. Okay, now I will give you the next point. As Pak Rifki already mentioned about the publication. So the roadmap has been published by Yayasan Pustaka Obor Indonesia in Indonesian version, Yayasan Pustaka Obor Indonesia and KITLV from the Netherlands for the English version. And as is published in Singapore for English version, but Singapore used to have that only for international publics, not for Indonesia, actually that time. And LIPI team, which I was also there, had the short version, both in Indonesian and English. So this is a lot of, and you will find different book cover for each of the publications here. And it's easily also for you to just Googling, you will find all this there. Now I come to the point about the significance of the roadmap. Basically, if you have the book, for you who already read the book, you will find two main parts in this book. The first is about the formulations of mapping of the root causes, which we formulate that in 4 clusters of issues. And then the other is about policy recommendation or some possible solutions that we formulate based on the main problems, including a new approach for Papua through peace dialogue. Okay, so I will show you later on about the model of the roadmap. Okay, so this is actually, it's easy. So this basically Papua roadmap is only this, but we have to have the long narrative to have like 200 pages or something. But this is actually the main part of the roadmap. The rectangular is a list of the problems, the 4 cluster of issues. Not only this, but you can break down more in each of the clusters. Marginalization and discrimination. It still happens. If you had the chance to read the report, That was a case that was an incident in 2019, started in Malang and then to Surabaya in East Java. There's also the problem about the persecution to Papuan students there. So this is that time that also the case of Black Lives Matter in America, and they changed the tagline becoming Papuan Lives Matter. So this is the problem of marginalization and discrimination. The second, you want to go there or here? This is just going there, right? With the clockwise. Okay, that's the value of development. Well, we do realize, I personally also realized that time, the special autonomy law was implemented only around 4 or 5 years since the first implementation in 2001. So that's why we didn't have enough reports who said about the achievement of all the development programs. So that's why we conclude that as a value of development. Let's say talking about education, about health. So the human development index in Papua is in the lowest level in Indonesia. Even one of the regency in Papua called Duga is the lowest in the world. You can Googling that. So this is why we make one of the issues is the value of development. The next is state violations and human rights, state violence and human rights violations. This is also one of the dark picture that not suitable resolution actually to deal with this one. The next is political status and historical construction. Again, this is one of the most sensitive issue, especially for the government, because the government in Indonesia clearly said that it's clear Papua is final. Papua is part of Indonesia based on international law. So no need to open more discussion on that part, on this issue. So, but for the Papuans, this is what actually they ask for. The high call is independence, because there's a different perspective on this part. Okay? No, by having all the problems here, we also think about the possible solutions that time. The first is about how actually we have to give more recognition to the Papuans. Papua has many contributions to Indonesia. So this is what the government also realized this one. And there's no many like an open access to the Papuans in almost in every sector, in every part. So the Papuans can involve in politics, bureaucracy, especially in academics, although the researchers in Papua is very limited, in economy, but yeah, they have to fight with the migrants, of course, but at least the government is trying to open all access to the Papuans, especially also for the young generation. The second is new paradigm of development. We're trying to say that if you develop in Papua, it's different with the Papua themselves develop the area. So this is how we have to change the paradigm. So Papua must be the subject of development, not the object. The next one is path of reconciliations. So by having this one, we also suggest to have like human rights codes. But a few weeks ago, I heard already from the National Commissions on Human Rights in Jakarta that it's impossible to have human rights codes for the Papua case. And even by to establish the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is also still a long way to go. The last option is dialogue. Dialogue is not doing partially, but this is actually part of the peace building process in Papua. Okay, so by seeing this model, you already read the Papua roadmap. If you want to read the whole story, is okay, but by knowing this, so this is actually the most important content of the book. Okay, the next one. So this is about Papua updates. So since we launched the book in 2009 until now, there's lots of pros and cons about the roadmap. I just want to share several of them. The first, someone said that, or some people said that it was, or the roadmap was the main reference or the first initiative of the government think tank, because LIPI is actually called as a government think tanks or as the home ground initiative. This was the first time. Is it right, Parifki? Roadmap is the first main reference on Papua produced by the government think tanks, right? Okay, so that's Parifki there. The second, also, okay, so back to what we just discussed this. So it's easier, right, to understand Papua now? You feel that? Instead of having, or you have to spending more time to read the 200 pages things, you just see that. So it is easier. And I have to say here that when we first tried to formulate the main issues, we found around 12 issues in Papua. But it's hard, right, to remember 12 issues. So we tried to make it in 4 clusters of issues. So when we talk about the 4, everybody, oh, that's all happened in Papua. Something like, instead of memorizing more than 10 issues in Papua. So this is also the response. And some also said that nothing new actually. The problem are the same. When Pak Rifki had the chance to do this research also at LIPI, it was in 1990 something, yeah, Pak Rifki? 1991. The problem is the same with what we already formulated in 2009 or 2008. So no wonder if people say, what's actually new for us? Because the problem are the same. The situations are the same before and after the special autonomy law. But my question is, why the government cannot solve the problem there? So that's actually the most important one. By having the same problem all the time, almost 60 years or more than 60 years, why is it still like that? Okay. And the next one, the response is said that LIPI is biased perspective, because LIPI did not use data and information from the government side. So if we go back to the implementation of special autonomy law in 2001, and we did this research from 2004 until 2008, yeah, it's very limited data on the achievement of development programs in Papua. That's the first. The second, no one want to share to us, to the researchers, when we ask. They just said that we don't have the data. So this is why, for some of the readers, said that it's biased, because the Papuans more give our more information, what's actually happened in the ground. So this is kind of things. So I will give to you. You can choose which one of your response after you read about the roadmap. Okay. Now I move on to the next one, updating the book. So as I mentioned before, I personally believe that no research is perfect. That's why we try to make some updates. So in 2017, we focus now to see the youth political movement and Papua diaspora. Because we see after we launched the book, the youth in the Papuan youth trying to make kind of political consolidation for their movement. So we have to know what's actually the impact of the roadmap for this movement. And what's actually the role of diaspora Papua? So this is in 2017. The next update focus on social economy and development in Papua. This is where we said that there's many achievement now because there's already almost 20 years because the first special autonomy law ended in 2001. So we can say here that there's lots of something new in Papua, especially the physical infrastructures. You will see the roads, bridges, seaport, whatever, buildings. Sorry, this is not for promotion, just for information. They now have 2 outlets of Starbucks, one in Jayapura, one in Abepura. This is kind of things happen in Papua. So we have to say it because there's outlets that people used to ask, is there any Starbucks? Is there KFC there? Is there Pizza Hut something? So means the people wants to come there. Okay, so this is what we say in this book. The next one, 2024, actually this year, I am still waiting because this is still in publishing process. So focus more on human rights and conflict in Papua. So this is what we trying to keep updating to the readers or also to the decision makers from what we have produced in 2009. Okay, now something related to change and continuity in Papua, especially under the Jokowi's administration. Yeah, I didn't talk about the previous government. The first, again, I have to mention there's good progress of development in terms of infrastructure, as I said, connectivity and digitalizations. Even the government already built Papua Youth Creative Hub for the startup business, especially for the young generation. Okay, but there's also the setback things happen in Papua. The spiral of violent conflict and cases increased since 2017. You can have the graphic from the report of IPAC in International Policy Analysis something. So the violence increasing or escalating, and also there's the problem of internal displaced persons which come from certain agencies, especially, again, you have to Googling this. The name is Maibrat or West Papua Province, Duga, and Intan Jaya or Highland Province. In those places, there are around 100,000 refugees. I heard some people said that that's not many. That number is not many. But remember, Papua is less than 3 million. So 100,000 of them is many. So this is kind of things that we have to remember. Compared to the whole population of Indonesia to 70 billion or something, that's small number. But for the Papuans, the native Papuans, this is actually big number. Okay, the next is, again, I have to state here, no progress in solution of human rights violations cases. In the early of 2015, the government built the investigation team for the human rights violations cases in Papua. From 11 cases, they focused on only 3. That in the Wasior case in 2001, Wamena in 2002, and Pania in 2014. What happened? For the non-judicial process was happening. But this is not only in Papua, in the whole of Indonesia, including in Aceh. But what the victims ask for, still they need the judicial process to cut out the impunity of the violent actors. So again, this is actually still the homework for the government. Okay, now I move building networks. So this actually Pak Rifki asked me, you have to link between the academic research with the policy orientation. So building networks, this is very important. Actually, this is also your choice. You just want to work for the academic purpose, or you want to have an extra effort to also link with the decision makers. I choose to have a communication with the decision makers. So the first is establishment of Papua Peace Network. I was there for some years, then I quit, but I come again as the member of these networks. So the process of establishing is LIPI hold a meeting with key persons from Papua. It was happened in Singapore in 2010. We asked about 20 of them to come to Singapore, and we think seriously how we are going to have this network. Basically, we are promoting peace dialogue, any solution without violence. Each conflict has to be resolved without violence. So this is actually the idea. And Papua Peace Network was established in Sentani in Papua. It's close to Jayapura. And LIPI and Papua Peace Network formulated concept of dialogue for Papua. So basically, we, again, based on our research on the potential agenda, based also from the local wisdom, dialogue is actually coming from Papua because they're practicing this as part of their local democracy. Also, by having the concept, we made the public consultations in 26 places in Papua. You see the big island, the island there. We came to 26 places, and also with 3 associations of migrants in Jayapura, because all of the populations or the people who live in Papua have to know this. Not only for the Papuans, the non-Papuans also have to know about this. The second of building networks is communication with stakeholders. It happens 2011 until now. First is having the exploratory meetings. This is closed meeting. We did in Jakarta, Denpasar, Yogyakarta, Manado, Semarang, Bogor, Lombok. This is all attended by stakeholders from government and from society. Pak Rifki was also invited 2 times, Pak, or 1? 2 times. So this is very close meeting. No media coverage. Because we really want to have like a deep understanding about what's actually happened there in Papua. After that, we formulate the policy brief based on also based on current situations in Papua. It's already distributed to several government institutions in Jakarta. Also had a meeting to make code of conduct for media coverage in conflict area like in Papua, because we suggest them not to share the photos that can make people more emotional. So they have to be very selective on this. And also we did diplomatic briefing. This only 2 times actually in Jakarta, to give all the embassies who had a concern on Papua, so they know the updates from person or from institution who has the ground. They have the research on Papua and also have the updates. Okay. Now I want to share about government response towards dialogue. I move here, okay, because I will be for my eyes. The third is government response towards dialogue. In September 16, 2014, LIPI handed over the first policy brief to the elected President Jokowi. I was the person who gave that to Pak Jokowi, because he said, if you have policy brief or something, you just give directly to me. He said that, but in reality, it's not so easy to meet him. Okay, the next is the Vice President's Office facilitated LIPI and Papua Peace Network to coordinate or communicate with relevant institutions in Jakarta, especially the deputy politics. They help a lot to have to link us with the relevant institutions in Jakarta. On 15 August 2017, President Jokowi agreed to have sectoral dialogues. That meeting in the palace in Jakarta. And the end of the meeting, President asked coordinating Minister of Politics, Law and Security, Head of Presidential Staff Office, and Coordinator of Papua Peace Network to prepare for sectoral dialogues. So these are the persons in charge. And 2019, President Jokowi even said that he was ready to dialogue with the pro-referendum. Interesting, but it never happened. The last, actually, I personally helped the concept of peace building process or conflict transformations in Papua. This will be under the new office, under the Vice President, and the Vice President will go and will have office in Papua, in Jayapura. Okay. Okay, this is the last slide. I know some of you are already sleepy. About the lessons learned. The first, again, Papua is different from Aceh. It means that we have to look very detailed in each conflict. We may have kind of something similar, but there's no conflict is really the same from one to the other. So Papua is different from Aceh. There are at least 3 specific conditions in Papua that we have to remember. The first, heterogeneous society with equal rights and collectivism. This is Papua. They don't want to be represented. So if, for example, I talk to someone from West Papua province, they said, you talk to them, not to us. Maybe he or she from South Papua. So it's hard to think about representation because they are so heterogeneous. So again, this is what impact is about representative in democratic systems. This is the government is trying how actually to represent all the Papuan aspirations in the national democratic systems. The next, Papua again has the richness of natural resources, but this becomes one source of disputes among the government, local community, and business sectors. Basically, there must be like a good management to accommodate the right base, developmental base, and also environmental based principles. The third is about ethnic power change or power sharing or power relations. This creates potential divided society in Papua, as I said before. The second lesson learned, it's a choice again to you to link academic works and policy orientations. But again, it needs additional efforts and need communication skills. My own experience, if I talk to the government, I always start with something positive. I'm never criticizing them at the beginning. They don't want to listen to us. Give a good appreciation. There's we have to say that there's already something happened good in, let's say in Papua, there's lots of achievement, blah, blah. But I think you need to improve this one, something like that. So the wordings is very important. The last point, Papua needs a design of conflict transformation. So that I'm working on this on the third point now and haven't finished. Maybe next time if Pak Rifki invite me again, so I will probably have finished and I will share this one. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kwari. We have your presentation from Kwari, which is very thorough, basically, on this issue. I think Badri still second from take your drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, see what she explained. She has already explained about how the long process operations, applications, and so on and so forth, and then how to advocate the product. You know, so all us we are studying here is basically to be able to do proper research and proper study. But shifting the research from policy making is another thing, and that is a really, really great challenge. What Rana also mentioned that kind of difficulty because from research to policy, we need communication in the middle. Sometimes the user they don't want to listen. And in the most cases, when we advocate on the issues like Papua peace process, it is actually peace building. It is related to peace studies. It is conflict management. It is also conflict analysis, and it is become very challenging. You know, if you read the gap between research to policy, it is sometimes become being said as valley of death. You know, so that lot of research is only enough in the chart because there is no one who basically properly advocating diligently to conscientize the user when it is issues related to policy. So I think what we already give a very comprehensive presentation for all of us. And if there is any questions, and I hope there are many questions would like to raise and discuss with you, Adriana. Silakan. Okay, we'll start from the girls.
The lady. The lady.
Yeah.
The lady.
Please state your name. Diana. This is Sonia from Faculty of Social Science. Please, Sonia.
Thank you very much, Ibu Adriana, for sharing your work, which is a prominent reference in the issue of Papua. My question, aside from the separatist group, if I may call them, and also the government, is there any social movement from the people that demand peace?
Okay.
And also, what I know is that Gus Dur is the only president that use a soft approach or cultural approach toward Papuans. Uh, if that is the case, why is it that the government seem used repressive approach on the issue? Why is it that if using repressive approach is not paid off in terms of peace, why they use a repressive approach? And I remember Parifki ever said that Melanesia, which is Papua race, we are among the biggest country with Melanesia race. And abandoning Papua means we miss the opportunity that may be gained if we understand the potency of Melanesia race. Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe all. It's okay. So all. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask questions and for the explanation. That's very comprehensive. That's boiled down to the four root causes and the four solutions for lasting peace in Papua. I have three questions, Ibu Adriana. One, what is the turning point in Pak Jokowi's stance? He was previously very open to the recommendation by LIPI team, but then he just didn't follow it up. by concrete actions. While we understand that he has the biggest social capital, aside from Gus Dur that Sonia has mentioned, Pak Jokowi is the president that most the frequently visitor
18 times.
Yeah, 18 times to Papua. So that's a turning point. My first question. The second question, what's the future hold for Papua after Prabowo take helm of Indonesia's presidency in October? As we understand, Prabowo has previous human rights violation. He comes from military background. And he stated it in his interview with Al Jazeera, his priorities and Papua is not in his mind. So that's interesting. The third question, this might deviate from your topic, but still relevant because it's actual. To see how Gaza and Papua be seen from the perspective of occupation. I want to be very cautious and talking about like movement, freedom movement of Papua. But in the debate of Palestine, there is one particular interesting instance in, I'm not sure it's McDonald's or Starbucks. I think it's in McDonald's when it said there is a movement to boycott kan. But then in one of the poster it said like, what about Papua? Like this is how they dodge the protest or the boycott toward Israel's product. One of them is KFC, McDonald's, and they try to counter that with like, oh, but Papua is closer to you. How you deal with that? It's equally like sounds insufferable for the people who are affected by the conflict. What's your take on three questions? Sorry, it's very complicated.
Hello, my name is Nizar. Thank you for this opportunity and for your intriguing discussion. Um, currently, I'm kind of curious about the thing of Papua, especially how the Indonesian government create the new frame, a political frame of the separatist group there, which is at the beginning it calls Free Papua Organization, which is Operasi Papua Merdeka, and then it changed to armed criminal groups, which is kelompok bersenjata Papua, and the latest, as I know, it's Papua Terrorist Separatist Group, or in bahasa Indonesia it called kelompok separatis teroris Papua. I think it became a problem here because because this kind of framework create another fear of the people in the Papua. And I really want to know your position here. Do you think this kind of framing is literally can a little bit change the position of Indonesian policy there, or it's just part of the what is that how to treat this kind of group as part of concern to be focused more to be solved. Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ya, 3 cukup. Yang lain?
Ini dulu ya. Ini this one. Okay.
Catat aja, nggak apa-apa. Ya, ya,
We have
ya. Ada 4, nggak apa-apa. Semua aja.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Mohammed Javed. I'm from MA Finance Economic. Thank you for your explanation. My question is, what makes you interested in Papua case that you are writing the book?
Yeah.
One, and the other thing is, why the conflict takes so longer. I just saw some pictures. As we know, Indonesia is diverse country, but the culture of Papua, as compared to other states, totally different. As there, for the other islands, it's difficult to accept this type of culture of people. That is the reason why the conflicts going so longer. And
Okay.
that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next one.
Thank you very much for your talk today. My name is Hassan Birba, a PhD student at University of Technology, Sydney, and a fellow over here. It was very interesting talk and quite refreshing because I came to know about Papua conflict in 2011 when I was a student at University of Sydney.
Okay.
So I have a few questions from your talk. One was in one of your last slides, you said that ethnic power change or sharing creates potential divide within the society.
Yeah.
Would you be able to elaborate that, because there is a lot of academic and policy research out there which suggests that power sharing would also help transform a conflict. Like you said, we need a conflict transformation approach. So it has been one of the tried and tested power approaches to transforming conflict. South Africa is one such example. The apartheid ended in a power sharing arrangement. And there are other cases such as Lebanon and so on and so forth, which I wouldn't name here, but there are so many of them. So if you can also elaborate on what does it actually entail in Papua, given that you said each conflict is different, so there might be different dynamics. The other thing I wanted to understand is also what was the involvement of the Papuans in developing the roadmap that you suggested, and what was their response to the suggestions that you had made back then? And one thing that struck me from your title was negotiating the past. So whose past is being negotiated? Because there are competing narratives on both sides, the Indonesian government side as well as the Papuan side. And often in these conflicts, I'm from Pakistan, so we have these competing narratives as well, given that we are a multi-ethnic society. So whose narrative is being negotiated and who's being imposed over the other?
Okay, thank you. I think it's the right one.
First of all, I'd like thank you for your presentation. It is very comprehensive, insightful for us that we can understand very detailed in the case of Papua. But my question is like,
Your name, please.
thank you. My name is Manuel. I'm from Timor-Leste.
Okay.
But here I would like to highlight some subject that you have mentioned here before regarding the recognized by international law. The issue of Papua, they are now trying to be independent from Indonesia, but we can say that different from the case of Asia in Timor-Leste, we have different case. But current situation, we can say like several social media we see they're under the pressure for the Indonesian military. They kill most of them in Papua. But do you think this it is good for Indonesia? It is not Indonesia that against human rights. Or the other thing is, or the second question, we know that the under rule of the under leadership of Jokowi, Power Jokowi Widodo, already almost finished. But he did everything in Papua, the infrastructure building development things. Do we think that we develop the infrastructure building in West Papua? It is the way that Papua people will satisfy. They will stop the conflict in Papua. This is my question. And thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Some asking me like a journalist. Because lots of journalists asking like you. That's fine. Okay. So first is from Sonia about social movement for Papua. Well, some of them already involved in the Papua Peace Network, especially they who promoting dialogue, peace dialogue. But of course, partially they also have like like the human rights activists, they are also having lots of efforts to inform the current situations regarding human rights issues in Papua regularly. Even maybe some of the activists also sending the report directly to several government institutions in Jakarta, for example. So this is what they want. The government knows actually what the situations in the ground. So and at the same time, they also wait for the response, the positive response. But again, the government used to accept that the report, but never say about what's actually need to do in those reports that coming to Jakarta, for example. But again, social movement is also happen in Papua. Women also have a good effort to, especially trying to stop the conflict in each area, and also they involved in like formulating the regulations. Also, this is kind of a social movement in Papua. So basically, most of the people in Papua asking for stop the violent conflict. Conflict will be always there, but what they want is stop the violent one. Because conflict in terms of competition is okay, but by having the armed conflict, the violent one, so the first victims usually the people, the ordinary people. So this is one. And Gus Dur is very popular in Papua. Everybody said, why there's only one Gus Dur in Papua, no other one, something like that. But again, I actually Gus Dur knows or knew exactly about the proud of identity of Papua. That's why he changed the name Irian Jaya to Papua. Papua is the identity, not Irian Jaya. So in terms of, because Papua is coming from the word Pua Pua, means curly hair. So this is Papua is the identity of them, not Irian Jaya. Irian Jaya is coming from Jakarta. So because he's he knows about the culture there. He even said that you can talk anything. He said that in this table, but don't ask outside the table, meaning you have to be part of Indonesia. You can ask anything, but don't ask the other one. Don't ask for independence. So this is kind of things that Gujrat is also recognize the identity of Papua, because the political movement is also the identity of them. But again, Gus Dur is only one. So this is hard to find another Gus Dur actually to approach Papua. And Melanesia, Indonesia, the government has claimed that the biggest Melanesian population in the world is in Indonesia. We have maybe no. Papua is already 6 with Maluku, North Maluku, with Nusa Tenggara, about maybe 8 provinces have the Melanesians roots there. The problem is what get the recognition, especially from the Pacific Island, is the Melanesian Papua, not from the other part. So this is the problem of political recognition. The government doesn't have that. So that's why Papuan Melanesians has more or closer links with the Pacific, also because of the brotherhood, Melanesian brotherhood things. Emotionally, they are very welcome with the Pacific and not the other Melanesians in Indonesia. So this is actually also the homework. Indonesia, the government was trying to build Melanesia Indonesia, Melindo, but it was failed because there's no political recognition for that. Okay, Alice. Okay, the turning point. Pak Jokowi is the most president who visit Papua 18 times. during the first period, his first period of administrations, Papua has lots of hope that the conflict will stop, especially when LIPI already gave the proposal for dialogue, but it never happened. I don't want to blame this to Pak Jokowi, because people surrounding him has also support the idea for dialogue. Like, for example, when I said that Jokowi appointed 3 persons in charge, creating Ministry for Politics, Law and Security, he didn't agree with dialogue. So if the person who has the to follow up didn't agree, so Pak Jokowi cannot do by himself. So I think Pak Jokowi is okay, but we have to remember people surrounding him. Do they also support or not? Okay. So the future of Papua under Prabowo, maybe I have to quote something that my supervisor said to me. Apa? Sebentar. Nothing new, only worse. So this is only worse. Nothing new, only worse. Especially, we remember that Pak Prabowo also said that democracy is tiring. But Papua learning about democracy. They try to express their local wisdom because they also know about democracy. But when Prabowo said that democracy is tiring, you can't predict what are going to be happening in Papua. But I still have hope, because I always try to have a positive perspective. At least I have already helped to with the narrative of concept of peace building process through the Vice President's office. Hopefully, it will bring to the new government, and they will be able to execute under Pak Gibran, we hope. Okay, so you know what kind of expression. Micin, program Micin. So the next question is about freedom movement compared to Gaza and Papua. So I don't want to talk about Gaza because it's also a long story of that, but you have to remember, if something happen in the world, Papua will take it as a momentum also to say something related to free West Papua. Remember that. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, free Gaza, free Papua, something like that. So this is actually how they're clever. Actually, they're smart. They use all the momentum for saying for have a high call for independence. Yeah.
You what, Adriana, continue first. For the next one, we still have time. If you want to continue some of the other questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
For me, NKRI harga hidup. No NKRI harga mati. Okay. So for Nizar, the term or PM, the government gave lots of names or frame for the Papuans. I used to say that there's a part of the stigmatization, labeling of the Papuans. For them, whatever the name, the high call is the same. We want independence, something like that. The government gave all the things there in Papua, physically, connectivity, whatever. They still want to be independent. So names is, for me, also make the problem more complicated psychologically, because Papua is not only said as a separatist, they also said as a terrorist. Now they use again the terminology of OPM, Organization, Free Papua Organization. But you have to also see about the pragmatical aspect on this. Remember when Pak Mahfud MD, the coordinating minister of political law and security said about the policy of naming the separatists also as terrorists, few weeks later, there's like the BNPT, the terrorist bureau or something, asked for additional budget because they changed the name. This is the same. By changing the name to OPM, there's also kind of additional budget coming to the finance minister. So in pragmatical aspect is that. So this means that I personally said that it will change anything. It will not change anything in Papua by naming that. Even it becoming worse because again psychologically the Papua is always naming as terrorists, as separatists, as rebels or whatever. Okay, that's my questions. For Muhammad Javid, what is why I'm interested in Papua? Okay, honestly speaking, that was kind of trap for me. There's a trap. I just came from Australia. No one, or no, sorry, the researchers were so limited, and my senior asked me, "Do you want to help this group, this research team? What do I have to do?" Yeah, you just be okay. But later on, she asked me to also manage all the administrative things about the research process. I also at the same distance. So it's kind of trap, but okay, I'll try. And it was 2004 and it, but now I have like an serious interest on that, especially when I have lots of interactions with the Papuans. For me, they're just the same like others, like all of you here. There's the good one, there's the bad one in Papua. The problem is only the armed conflict, the violent conflict there in Papua that must be stopped. And I'm trying to give an option to the government. If you want, you can do it. You can stop it because its conflict must be stopped, especially the violent one. And the next is why conflict is so long. Lately, I'm just thinking maybe some of the actors want it continue because they gain something, promotion, economic benefits. So why do we have to stop the conflict again? So this actually not happen only in Papua, in many different places also. But the other thing is because Papua is rich of natural resources. In okay, in a poor area, no one will think, no one will create conflict. They don't want to help the poor. But because this is a rich area, so the conflict is continue there. Hassan, ethnic power change. Well, I actually have to start this from the history of tolerance in Papua. Papua, in the tolerance index in Indonesia, Papua is the highest. They are the most tolerant people. So we have to learn from them. But politics make them divided. So even in power sharing, in the local government, some of the head of regencies, if they know that all the staff, the native especially, don't have the capacity to manage the bureaucracy, they ask the migrants to help, something like that. So again, this is all the conflict make them divided. And this is very dangerous. And back to 2019, when there's conflict between the Highlanders, Papuan Highlanders, and the rest of the populations in Papua, which most of them coming from outside Papua, there's name of Kelompok Nusantara. Nusantara is another name of Indonesia, Nusantara Group. They have to face with Papuan Highlanders. The Papuan asked, do we part of Nusantara or not? If you said there's a Nusantara group and we are excluded from that group, do I be part of Nusantara? So this is what I want to say in relation to potential conflict, social conflict in Papua. So because of the political interest, so it's easily to trigger them. Okay, now Papuan involving the roadmap. Some of the people or organizations who are part of Papua Peace Network are they who support Papua Roadmap. Even when actually the third chapter of the book about dialogue, I wrote that part, and we discussed with 50 people from from Papua. They all said that Papua has to have dialogue. So this info from the beginning, before we when you draft the book on roadmap. Negotiating the past. This is focused on political issue, of course. The narrative between the government, we said that it's final, no more discussion on the historical things. But for the Papuan, this is actually the issue. Why they ask for self-determination, even they ask for another referendum. So this is the last for Manuel. There's always similarity in its conflict, but when we design to solve the problem, especially in this case is Papua, we really have to know the characteristics of the Papuans in all aspects, especially regarding the culture, because we used to know cultures, something like production of cultures, like the arts, the dances, something, but cultures is also part of how actually the people think, the philosophy. We don't understand the philosophy of the Papuans. So this is what I said, that we have to know the characteristic of Papua. And the last is develop will. Okay. As I said, they have now all the development things, the digitalization, the startup business, whatever. Some of them still ideologically want to be independent. So this is actually what I said, that we have to have a design for the conflict transformation, especially to if possible, to abolish all the sources of violence in Papua. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, before we close, in one question.
Oh yeah.
What reason why the streaming of
Okay.
YouTube?
Okay.
Question is one method of conflict resolution can be. I wonder if it has been used in Papua. Please explain.
Okay, thanks, Professor. I think when we draft the second and the third book, I think, on the potential of peace agenda and also trust building, we also learn about the values that Gandhi has been teaching us. So, but again, as we know, or lately, I make like actors mapping. We make an update on that. There's lots of actors involving, because conflict in Papua is not only about separatism. It's also about natural resources. There's about also communal conflict. So lots of actors. So I think we have to make a specific design to each of the conflict. And again, what Gandhi told us is very important. We already adopt actually, but we can make like a more contextual on or as part of the conflict resolutions in Papua. Okay.
Contextual like Gandhi is important.
Yeah.
Thank you for. Well, I would like to thank you very actually she already shared with us her experiences from the academic process to policy advocacy, which is the policy advocacy is basically the process is very tireful, very tireful, because assuring the users in this context is government,
is very, very uneasy. And well, despite she already said that there was a Papuan might have methods on how to solve the peace through Muna Muna. We can
Muna dialogue.
The thing I would like to add one point on this matter. Ethnographical studies, ethnographic approach is very important in identifying or studying any dynamics in certain society, especially in the case of Papua, which is culturally very complex and very diverse. I think ethnographic studies is very crucial here. And I just to remind you that almost every year we have also methodological course, and in our methodological course we have also ethnographic methods that we introduce so we can take it. So while we must have strong analytical studies, whether strong analytical method, whether it is quantitative or qualitative, we need also to support the qualitative studies using ethnographical. Because without understanding the context, the culture, the diversity of culture, we will not able to, understand. The second one, neglecting that ethnical or ethnographic context, very dangerous in policy making. In addition, conflict sensitive approach is important, meaning that researcher as an academician, when we study our society, we should also conscious about conflict sensitivity, and being a policy makers is also very important for society. And my final point is that from our experience, I've been working with Ibu Adriana together in my office before joining Triple IU for more than 30 years, so that's quite lot of time, and even we do first research on Papua. I think some of you even haven't born, so 1990, or 1991, maybe some of you haven't born, so we say that no good policies we can formulate it, without proper academic research. That's number one. And academic research still also need to be communicated properly, so because of that, policy advocacy is another level after we do proper academic research or academic study. So this is a combination between theoretical and also practice. Okay, again, thank you very much for all of us who have been here, and please give applause to our speaker for we will have another Brownbag seminars, might be 2 weeks from now. We will update to you. But before we leave the rooms, let's we have photo together for our documentation. So